too, and we would protect their oil. That was the other part of it.
And they
But
wouldn't
here,
have
yeah,
to. They
yeah. Wall
wouldn't have
Street
to get
Journal has
involved.
put out something about how, yeah, Iran retains missile capability despite U.S. strikes. Yeah, this was, and they got a. Okay, I can put that map up that they show, showing all the range. So yeah, so this is again, so this Kashif, whoever this again is probably, I'm guessing it's like CIA or DOD or NSA or something like
I
that.
couldn't find him in Wikipedia, even though
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had this.
No, it's clearly a plan again.
Or
Literally, like it appeared like you look at the channel, they literally appeared like a week ago. I think their oldest video is 9 days. So it appears just as this new war is starting. And again, they have done nothing before. They're not doing like anything about the Ukraine war
right.
or any of the others. I mean, and again, they're not doing anything about. We know again, bad stuff is happening to our bases again, and
Yeah.
Americans are getting killed. But why is there nothing about that in all these?
Well, that
Yeah, why
it's
not do why you could do a video again based on all Western reporting that's saying okay, this here this base was totally wrecked, or five Americans have, I think the number is up to 12, I think total, something between I think 6 and 12, I think is what I saw.
well, but this is
Because
less than.
there are some people that are missing, and what that probably means is again is that the missile or drone came down, well, probably missile came down right on that person, and basically their whole body was disintegrated.
With the
There's not
large
enough
number.
there's not enough left to identify him with DNA or her. So the body was literally, they're probably pretty sure that person is dead. It's just the person literally, well, I suppose there's a small chance some of them, are deserted or something, or, got lost in the desert or something. But yeah, most likely, again, the body was basically just destroyed. And so eventually they'll admit that, hey, that airman or soldier or sailor was killed, just, yeah. And again, the family won't even have, a little piece
All
of.
right, wait. Let me ask you a question. Estimate: how many U.S. troops are in the Middle East right now on ships and anywhere in bases? With all of the seven
Well,
bases and all of the ships,
oh,
it's got to be 10,000 U.S.
no,
soldiers, right?
much considerably more than that. Again, because you got a
Well, wait a
lot of,
second. Wait a second. Wait a second. If
it's
there's
tens of
10 or 20,
thousands. I don't know. It might be
okay, if there's
50,000.
tens of thousands of troops there, you're going to have 3 to 4 to 10 deaths a week
Yeah.
from get burnt in the making the
Yeah.
potatoes, tripped on the steps,
Well,
died of
that's good, but well, maybe not
you
that
know
many, but yeah, a few, you know,
people died
a
of
few
old
people,
age.
yeah.
People died.
But this is why
So
again. I'm trying to find. Yeah, I think there's somebody was pointing out. I'm gonna find a video on it. Just like this is by polling, the support for the war is in the toilet already. It's like 20. Oh, I know. I think it was under 30% of people think the war
oh no, the
is
polls are
good,
the polls are the
essentially.
polls. Come on, the
No, but
polls.
again, no. But if you even if you look at like the Iraq War again, when we invaded Iraq in 2003, I think maybe fifth, definitely a majority, but maybe 60% in the early months still thought it was a good thing. So this is actually the Vietnam War wasn't like that. Again, there was it's typical is that there's support, and then as things go bad, it declines. But this was like basically people didn't believe in it from the beginning, which is of course a very bad, that's not a good sign for how it's going to go. Well, in terms of public support, it can only go down as it gets more expensive, more people die.
Uh huh. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a whole article I think in the Times, yeah, and elsewhere. Some guy, some soldier in Queens was one of the people killed, and they talked to their family and so on. I suppose we
Yeah.
can.
Hurry up! Hurry
Well,
up! Get to go talk to the family.
well,
Hurry up!
it happens. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe Ken, do you want to talk about this? Yeah.
Oh,
Here's
that
a,
was. Wait a minute.
yeah,
Wait a
in
minute.
terms of
Before.
since you've been going. Oh, here, yeah, we can talk about this, and I think I can find a video on it. This thing where again, the Trump administration is, they're sending letters to immigrants, including against some people basically that have like that are in legal process of trying to get legalized. and have had permission to stay in the country, because their court cases are pending. To hit them with a huge fine and tell them, pay this or leave. Like we're up to, well, they basically, they fine you every single day you've been here in the country, and it goes up to $1.8 million in fines.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically like,
Yep.
pay this exorbitant number or leave the country. So this is, again, it's a question whether it's legal because actually we can discuss this. There's actually a provision, I think it's the Eighth Amendment, that, says that excessive fines, let me find it, is actually not permitted or unreasonable, something along those lines. But let me find which amendment it is. But it sounds interesting again, because this is happening to actual people. Again, it's obviously a way to get people to leave the country, you know, by hitting them with these. Yeah. But and they sent it out to like 100,000 people, so it's not small.
Well, I know
Uh,
Sweden is paying its
And of course, some of these
immigrants.
people, they have,
Sweden, wait, I
they
got
have
to
kids
cut you
here.
off. You don't ever shut up. I have to mute you. Sweden is paying their immigrant citizens or residents 38,000 euros to go back home per person. 38,000 euros. Sweden or Denmark. It's one Denmark or Sweden. So, the only thing is this. When I've been looking at immigration policies since 1950. I mean, I don't mean I started looking at them in 1950. I mean, on the internet, I say from 1950 to 2026, what's the history of immigration and immigration policies? And that's a big story. And you see a major change happening at different times, like 65 or, underneath Lyndon Johnson. And in 1970, there was a big shift. So that's the story about immigration and borders, not one guy who got some injustice or they charged him $1 million or two guys or, this, that, and the other thing. And also, even just within the last 2 years, so many children have come over without documents. So you don't know who their parents are. What the hell do you do with these kids? What are you going to do with them? You don't know who they are or where they belong. Who's going to? Maybe you can have a very friendly adoption service that adopts kids that are, from other countries. But when you get to somebody who's like not a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old, but like a 10-year-old, that's another question because he's already developed a personality and an identity from where he grew up to be 10 years old in Guatemala or Mexico or Syria or wherever he's coming from. Oh, and most of it, by the way, most of it now is Chinese people. It's much more Chinese than it is
Well, here's
Latinos
the
and
other thing,
Mexicans.
though. What if, Ken? What if you happen to be married to one of these?
What if
Again, could
they got
happen.
married?
Again, apparently, in some of these cases, we can talk about it in detail again because they give specific examples.
Well, yeah,
Is
but
it- They
again, but
seize,
it's
they
not the
seize
one
they
person. It's
seize. Wait,
not
wait,
one
Ken.
person.
They seize the property of the married person to
Yeah, yeah.
to.
1 second. Don't talk about one case. You say there's 50 cases or 100 cases where they've been, taking the money. That's significant. Not one person. 50, 60, 100 people. That matters. This is a big country. You
This is a
can't.
major thing. 100, again, you see the article says, this is Times, 103,000 people that have, and they admitted that they've sent more than 100,000 letters out to all these people. So they're, because again, yeah, they want to get, I mean, again, this is only, of course, going to hurt the country because where are you going to get, do,
Oh,
Ken,
now that's another.
you never worked on a farm, right? You've never, picked
Well, let
strawberries.
me answer your question. Let me
What do
answer
you,
your question. Slow down. I'll answer your question. The great Ken Aaron. I used to sell ice cream on the beach. I used to sell metal image pictures, door to door, framed pictures. Hi, hey, let me show you what I got. I've sold sunglasses. I've sold stuff on the curb, and and I once cleaned. I once did the job. I had to do a job where I cleaned offices. But this is all when I was young and, just wanted to work. So,
have
so
you
it's not
done,
a
but
big scare.
have you
It's
done
like,
heavy labor, Ken? something like
Huh?
again, yeah, like backbreaking,
Sure.
picking 12 hours,
Yes, I've done
in the
selling ice cream
I
on
don't
the
think that's
beach.
I'm talking
That
about
is
like working.
back-breaking labor. I was carrying a box around that
Oh, you
weighed
were
70
okay.
pounds.
And how old
So,
were you back then?
I don't know, 12 or 13, I don't
Okay,
know.
you were a kid, yeah.
So, I've worked. I don't have and it's good. It's an
Okay.
opportunity to work.
But
You stop having empathy.
will you be willing to work for, whatever, peanuts they pay,
I got a friend who
farm
has a
workers these
ranch.
days? What do you know,
I
$3 an hour or whatever it is, I'm
I
sure
went
it's
I went I went up and picked some kind of artichokes or something for free just to help a friend. There's nothing wrong with labor. And anyhow, you're not. This is what's shocking. This is very shocking. I looked at the number of people born outside of the U.S. living in New York City. 38% born outside of the U.S. And
yeah.
now, here's what they're doing.
That's
The
why New
number
York is a
one
great
job,
city.
the number one job they have is taking care of elder people, and in nursing homes, and the people when you see somebody escorting somebody to go shopping, that's the number one job. The number two job is uh, driving a cab or an Uber, and the number three job is construction, and another
Again,
fourth
here,
job
okay.
is I don't
So this
know.
is why they're saying, you see this? This is why they're saying, again, this is all illegal according to the Eighth Amendment. See here,
Well, let's see what it says.
this is our Eighth Amendment.
Yeah.
Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel. And that's again where the whole cruel, unusual, and punishment, whenever they talk about the death penalty and things like
Well,
that.
this is a
That this is our Eighth Amendment.
unfortunately
So excessive
that's
fines. So they're saying again. So again, the legal basis challenge here, and that's here is again, little yeah. So I guess this is one example again. Here this person was charged 1.8. I don't think you and your family has that much money, Ken. The government was defining you $1.8 million for maybe probably your house isn't even worth that much, right? And it's a
yeah. So here's the story. Here's the story. Who cares?
Who cares? Again, this has happened to 100,000 people, so it's actually a
So
lot
who
of people who
cares?
cares. It's
Who
happening in
cares?
fact, but it's also, like I said, it's going to have it. You think it's great, but I think it's going to have a very negative effect on the country and the economy. I mean, again, you remember, you've been the one who's been talking about all this time. Oh, we need more people, but who do you think has more kids? It's quite clear immigrants have a lot more kids than native-born Americans.
You got
So
that's another story.
if you don't want the population to collapse, you need immigrants. That includes, undocumented ones. That's part of what's kept up our population. Why we aren't like Europe. That's
Hey,
gonna
hey, listen.
decline.
Wait a minute. I'm recording this. I'm gonna send it to Mom Donnie because you're right along with him, right there, right
Yeah,
along the line.
I
We
agree with him
need
about. I
immigrants
agree with him
who have
about a
no
lot of things.
skins. We need immigrants who can do menial manual labor. We need these poor people.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, you need.
we need an underclass to
Okay,
clean the toilets.
you have
What are we
you
going to do
have
without that?
Ken, your computer's an Apple, right?
No, I would never use an Apple, and a lot of people use
But
apples.
you
I
have.
know.
I'm sure you or your wife doesn't use an iPhone.
No, Grace. Yeah, Grace uses an
Yeah.
iPhone, and
So
she
then you
has an
have
Apple.
I think Steve Jobs is, his actual dad is from Syria, an immigrant. I think he might have even
Yeah,
been undocumented at some point. So here you wouldn't have your Apple phone if not for an immigrant deciding to come here and,
yeah,
have a kid with an American. So yeah, again, of course there's so many other, again, what is it like? I think it's not 10%. It's it's still maybe it's 10, yeah, 10 or 12%. I think of the population is or even more. I think I forget. Is not native born. So actually,
What? No, I just told you it's 30%,
yeah.
38%, 38%.
But again, you think this is a great country, right, Ken? I mean,
Well, I
it's
think New
still
York's a great city.
Yeah,
This is a fact. You can't
and New
ignore it.
York
You
has
can't.
one of the largest and New York wouldn't be what it is without immigrants. And according
That's
again,
true.
it has. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure it's much
but New
higher than
York,
probably is much higher. Well,
New
much
York
higher
has
for
been
New York
burdened. New
than
York has been burdened with being
here.
forced to be
Okay, yeah, yeah.
cordial,
So
cordial
of
to
the I don't know
illegal aliens.
here, so of the 8 million or so New York City residents, about 3.1 million are immigrants. I mean, again,
What?
they 3.1 according to the New York City government. We have an immigrant population of 3.1 million, which again is more.
Oh,
That's more
3.1
that's
million.
more than a third because again, the population within the five boroughs, I
I
think,
told you
is
it's 38
eight
percent.
million or so.
38%.
Yeah,
38%.
yeah. Well, it's always been the
So if
case.
you know
Again,
10 people, 10 people that you know, four of them are
yeah,
immigrants.
almost, yeah.
There you go.
Well,
You
that
know
includes
what
again.
was,
I'm pretty sure again. I have just because I've pegged the accent that this this
you're
new
not an
this
immigrant.
new
You're
family
not an
moved into
immigrant.
our building. I'm pretty sure they're Israeli because there's I think they're speaking Hebrew. That's you
Is it
know
okay with you that they live
no, it's
next to
not. I
you?
mean, it's fine again, but also shows that people are leaving that country and coming here,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
but again, I pegged it right, right after October 7th. I was in Greece. I was actually in Greece when that happened, and so you saw immediately again a bunch of Israelis showing up in Athens. I could, peg their. You could see again, and obviously they're, fleeing the war, so or at least on
Uh,
vacation from it. So yeah.
they're not, they're not true Israelis if they left underneath distress.
So again, there's an argument that, well, if you're not a real Zionist if you don't move to Israel, that
Right.
that
Yeah.
basically you don't really believe if you don't move there, you don't really believe in it because again, you're that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, people have opinions. But I got something to tell you that I observed personally this weekend. Would have been
What?
Saturday, I think. Um, I wanted to go to Chinatown. There's a special restaurant
Okay.
that that has chop suey. There's only one. And then I found out later that it's well known as the best. It's called
Okay.
something like Hop Yo or Yo
Well, if
Hop.
you're if
Anyhow,
you're into
walking. Let me no. Hold it a minute. Don't give me a chip. Don't let me get through the dialogue. It's better if we talk for a minute and a half, and rather than a tenth of a second. So the walking down towards Chinatown, I go across Canal Street, loaded, just one after the other, after the other, after the other of new immigrants from Senegal. We know they're from Senegal because we talked to them. Solid wall, Senegal, Senegal, Senegal. They all ride bikes. Oh, I forgot. That's another thing that most immigrants do is the bike deliveries, and then also cab drivers. But so and I looked it up. It's only about 5% of the immigrants are from Africa, but they're mostly from Senegal and Nigeria and a little bit from South Africa and Uganda. But it's like, what gets me going is like, who makes where are the quotas? There used to be quotas. There used to be a system of how do we increase the population here so that they will assimilate and accommodate each other. And now, no, they don't have that. They got rid of quotas. Used to be a certain percentage, like whatever, let's say there was 59, 100, let's say there's 1,000 Canadians. So they'd say a sixth of a percent is the quota for each year immigration. So that the whole thing would immigrate according to the existing population and would move up slowly and give enough time for people to assimilate. But that's all over. I think it got eliminated in 1964 by Mr. Lyndon Johnson. So it's sort of like this. This is my thing, and then I'll stop talking because nobody's listening to me anyhow. We don't have that many. Jim said he's going to work on getting people here, but they're not here yet. Let's see, there's just you two. So it's like this. If we take it as a thought experiment, if we leave it just no rules, then somebody else is going to make some rules, and they're going to say, well, nobody's making a rule, so I'm going to get all of the people from everybody from Greece is going to come over. We'll do what we can to fill America with the population from Greece. And what that will do is, and this has happened historically in most undeveloped countries, the population living here that comes from that country sends money back to that country. In Guatemala, they get $38 billion in funds from U.S. citizens, Guatemalans living in the U.S. And it's the same thing with Greece and most countries. They send money back there where it can be spent on buying real estate and stuff. Much better deal. Or just to support people. So that's a big financial drain, or just an additional financial drain. So I'm just saying that if you don't do anything, you're leaving it to somebody else to make a decision. I think that immigration should be controlled on the consensus of the government through the House and the Senate, not by executive directives, but legislation, a system. How should we increase our population? What should we do about the loss of young people and so forth, rather than leaving it up to some psychologist or somebody in the department who just decides. It should be something that's popular in the country. Okay, that's all.
Well,
Now
yeah, you understand
that's all.
that's not going to stop people from coming. Oh, well,
Oh, no,
obviously
no,
it
no,
hasn't.
no. What stops people from coming is borders.
Well,
Didn't
no,
didn't
no,
it?
no, no. What stops people from coming is, their lives are better in their own country.
No,
Then
no, no.
that there isn't a political or economic incentive for them to leave. I mean, if they're doing fine in their own country, most people prefer not to leave.
No, no, no.
Unless
We don't.
maybe if they get into a college here or something.
Excuse me. I can
Or they have a
point out
job, they
50.
get a job in the U.S. If they're
I
just
can get. Yeah, that's fine. But I can show you 50 countries where it's painful to live, and we don't have any immigrants from them. You know that. Burma, not China, but Mongolia. We have a minimal thing from Kazakhstan and that. Other countries, France. We have nothing from France. I don't know why. We got from
because their
England.
lives are pretty decent. As again, in some ways, their lives are better over there. Actually, they have. Again, that's the whole thing with the media.
No, no,
France,
no,
I'm
no.
pretty
Some
sure,
parts.
has a higher.
You may know some people in France that
You
are doing
don't.
better. No,
Oh
we
no,
have a
but the
much higher
average,
standard.
the median person is doing better. Again, they have less inequality than they do. They have an actual, national healthcare system. You can't go bankrupt for, some kind of health problem. And yeah, you actually get, a pension. I mean, they tried to change, but I think you can still, some people can like retire when they're 63 or something like, at least 65, definitely. I mean, how I'm sure plenty of people who not because they want to, because they have to, are working into their 70s or are still probably their friends of yours who are still working because they can't afford to retire. And again, in their 70s and so on. That doesn't happen in
No,
France. You have a very strong government support structure for people. And again, they have a pretty large, kind of like the US again, their citizenship isn't just by
okay, so you
I'm
got
being
it on.
born there or or being of a certain ethnicity, plenty and they have plenty, a large African and North African population that's from but also from their former colonies.
Okay, just to point out how honest I am, you're correct. France is much better than the U.S. by these statuses. Actually, these are very valuable
Right. Oh,
things. They
life
have a
life
so,
expectancy, for
no
example.
life expectancy is longer. They're
Infant
83.
mortality. I mean, most of the
Also,
different health,
suicide rate is
yeah,
lower.
yeah,
Suicide 1.3 instead of here it's 5.8.
right. I mean, they
And
did. I mean, I'm sure they have some, opioid deaths, but they didn't have anywhere near, the crisis we had with,
Oh, they
yeah,
also
because
have better.
they didn't let, let the opioid companies, just flood their country with,
Well,
Oxy,
you
Contin,
know,
and all that.
you've seen a lot of commercials about
Pill mills and all
the
that kind
higher
of stuff.
integrity of food in Europe.
Well, no, I can tell you, having oh,
Wasn't that strange?
is somebody calling you or something?
Oh, that's Johnny. Oh, I couldn't answer that.
Oh.
That was interesting. The
Well, I'm
phone
hearing
because
a siren near you too, Ken. I
yeah,
guess
that's just
you're your brother's place.
yeah, that's in the street. But I'm gonna just have to send my son a note that I'm in
Sure,
the
text
middle
him,
of
yeah.
yeah. Text him, Johnny. So what else is new? What's new with you? Bring up something. I was looking at.
Oh,
I brought up a bunch
well,
of things.
I had my birthday this past Saturday. So
Yeah,
I
you do that
turned
every year. You do
yeah.
that every year. How old are you now? 53? 62?
52.
362? 52.
Yeah.
You're a young man.
Well, compared to you, Ken, and Grace.
Yeah. Most of everybody we know is in the 70s or 80s. Johnny. Let's see, Johnny. There we go. And now here comes the message. The message
No.
is.
Oh yeah, well, in a very close quote, 216 to 214.
One second,
Um,
one second.
oh,
We're in a Zoom meeting, and I'll be out by I don't
11,
know,
probably.
mid 8 o'clock your time,
Ah,
p.m. 8 p.m. I put in the p.m. period your time. Dang. And let's see. That's 1 second. 1 second. We're in a Zoom meeting, and I'll be out by I don't know mid 8 p.m. Great. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So now, did you have a birthday party? Did you eat a piece of cake? What
I'm
did you do?
gonna meet up with people on this Saturday.
Did you say 50?
52.
Oh, 52. So
Yeah.
do you feel like, I know when I was going through those ages, I think at 40, I said 40. That's just halfway. That's
Yeah,
half is
yeah, I'm a
gone.
little bit
At
past.
best, I got another 40. That's all I got. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well,
Yeah,
I wasn't
no,
like that, no. But yeah, you're getting older. I
you're
would
not, you
definitely
don't
feel
have,
the
you're not going to go out and buy a sports car
no.
or a leather
Where am I gonna
jacket.
park it in the city? If I don't want
Well,
one, what am I gonna use it
get,
for anyway?
get a small enough one.
I don't,
What about a motorcycle?
oh, I never wanted to, yeah. I never
You
even
never want.
ridden a motorcycle with friends or anything. Biked,
Okay.
but not a, yeah, motorcycle.
What about a motorbike, an electric bike just to travel around the
I've done a
city?
regular bike, but never been
Now,
on one of these new e-bikes. Yeah.
do you have do you have a space for the e-bikes in the basement or just
Yeah, you
bikes?
could. I mean, I
No,
no,
some places.
we have storage, so yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
but they ban the electric bikes because sometimes they
Yeah,
explode.
you're not. I mean, I know I haven't seen any down there.
So at 52, where do you want to go that you haven't been? Did you ever go to Tokyo?
Probably no. Well, I've been to Germany, but other certain parts of Germany and Italy. I haven't been to Asia yet, so that would be China would be fun, I think.
What was that? Israel? Is that what you said?
Not now. I mean, why would I? I don't want to give give them any money at this. Even though I thought about, obviously go to the Holy Land, but yeah, I wouldn't want to support apartheid or
You said
genocide.
you haven't been to Italy
Not Italy, no, no.
or
I would like,
Sicily?
yeah, Italy, Northern Italy, I would like to go and have, yeah. No, well, obviously, heard a lot about it
Venice,
from Gail. Gail goes there all the time. Does her
Venice, and
research.
she goes to a place that Grace and I
He goes
went
to
to called
Siena, yeah, which is supposed to be really nice.
Ravenna.
Oh, Ravenna, yeah, I've always wanted to go to San Vitale, see the Byzantine mosaics there.
Yeah,
Venice and so on, but also,
yeah.
Mantua, Milan,
What
Turin.
about Croatia?
Uh, I mean, I'm sure it's nice, but I have particular desire to go there.
Venice?
Yeah.
No, no, I'm sorry, Vienna. Vienna.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, no, no. I've heard good things about Vienna.
And
Oh, yeah, of
also
course, they have
Prague.
they have half the housing is public there, publicly owned.
And
They're a
Prague.
rather unique city, kind of better than even Berlin, which is pretty good for for artists and so on, I've heard. But yeah,
Okay.
here's one thing we can talk about. Yeah, so they just the Republicans just passed another 95 billion for the war, through reconciliation. And actually, I was reading before that they were taking money from I don't think it was the Veterans Administration, but they were like taking money for from training the training budgets to fund the war because they were running out actually. So which tells you that again, this is a lot more expensive than they're admitting if they're doing that, and definitely it's in the tens of billions.
Now, when you say it was done by the Republicans,
Yeah, yeah, it was a
it
party. Well,
passed.
it was a party. It was the two here, 216 to 14 in favor, and all but two Republicans voted for it. So it was
Yeah, but you
all
said
no
no, no. Wait,
Democrats voted for it.
no. Say that again.
It was a
What?
216 to 214 vote here. It says with all but
Oh,
two
260 to 214.
216, not 216, not 216. Remember again,
216.
remember the Congress is 435 people, and maybe there's one person who just died, like well here. So and they say yeah, two Republicans, I guess must have abstained or even voted against it. Yeah, yeah, it's approved 216, but all but two Republicans in favor, despite considerable concern in the ranks about the cost. Um, and voting to fund an unpopular war before the midterms. So again, so this could become a campaign thing, with people running ads. You voted for this to waste your money on this war, and yeah, and all of that.
Okay, and I
Right.
see it here. It's like 300 and no 838 billion. Is that right? No,
No,
that's
no,
from
no. This
February.
this was a supplemental. This was 95 billion. Oh, here. Let me show you the article, the Times. Here,
Do that.
$95 billion budget. So this is like a supplemental thing in addition to here. And again, some of it
And
was
it,
I guess for farmers to compensate them probably for losing business from the tariffs. And here 10 billion for some kind of voting thing Trump wants to do to, steal the election.
terrible,
All right, okay,
terrible.
but
What's going
the
on?
Senate has to pass it, so this might not happen.
Oh, so it's only
Yeah.
through the House.
Yeah.
So it may
And
not
of course,
make it.
again, a lot of senators would be, including probably, yeah, Susan Collins, are like, I don't want to vote for this. I might, they're going to hammer me for it. I'm
Okay.
going to lose. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put up a thing here. Let me put up something. Oops, I better pull it up first. Ding. I get there and get through the ad. This will cure everything, and it's only $50 a bottle. Okay. This is shocking to me because it's the EU passed a whole series of policies blocking immigration. Let me see. Where do I go to get this? They got to do that. And then I got to go to portion the screen, and then I got to go save,
Oh,
and then
so
I
Senator
go
Thune said
to.
about this, yeah, you're going further down, that they're going to put the bill on hold. So it doesn't sound like it's going to pass before the election, because the senators don't want to, have
No,
that
this
hanging
is not
over
this.
them.
What are you talking about?
No, no,
The
Senator
funding?
John Thune he said, oh, that the Senate's going to put this on hold, this 95 billion. So it doesn't
Oh,
sound like
okay.
it's going to pass anytime soon.
Okay, so let's see if the sound works on this. This is the the legal body for the European Union, whatever they call that.
New Parliament.
Adopted. The first reading.
The EU will now hold migrants in offshore detention centres after the European Parliament approved its strictest ever migration law. Right-wing MEPs burst into chants of send them back after winning the vote.
Adopted. The first reading.
The deportation hubs will allow the EU to detain migrants with no right to be in the EU for an indefinite period or until they can be returned to their home country. Only unaccompanied minors would be exempt, meaning families with children could be held in the so-called return hubs. MEPs from the centre-right, the right wing and the hard right teamed up to push through the bill, which won by 418 votes to 218. As a Conservative bloc begins to emerge in the Parliament on migration issues.
On the agenda, the report by Mrs. Brigmont on the EU-Pakistan Agreement modification of concessions on tariff rate quotes. Vote on consent by roll call vote. The vote is open.
The EU will now have the power to set up agreements with external countries to house the deportation centres, as well as the ability to search the properties of suspected migrants. A key provision allows the
Oop, it froze or something.
while an appeal goes through. However, court detains on individual cases. Migrants can now be detained before deportation for up to 2 years, up from the current 6 months, and for an unlimited time period for those considered a security risk. Entry bans will be tough, up from 5 to 10 years for those.
Wait a minute, there, I know that guy.
With the possibility of a lifetime ban for those considered a security risk.
You're
Socialists and
now
left-wing parties could be heard shouting "shame on you" as MEPs celebrated their win.
We move to the... It's adopted.
The move will be welcomed in Britain despite the Labour government's decision to scrap the similar Rwanda scheme. Any cut in illegal migration to Europe should see a drop in crossings from Calais. Over 200,000 small boat migrants have entered Britain since 2018, which has hit records since Labour came to power. Reports indicate smuggling gangs have expanded their operations to launch crossings to Britain from Belgium. Nick Dunning, GB News.
A GB News exclusive now from Mark White, our Homeland Security editor. We can bring you footage exclusively of the French Navy throwing life jackets to illegal immigrants making a small boat crossing in the Channel. Here's what happened. So you can see there brazenly, that is the French authorities throwing life jackets to illegal immigrants mid-channel. You might say that's a humanitarian act, but it's also, some might say, aiding and abetting the illegal crossings. This comes, of course, as criminal gangs sent hundreds of illegal migrants on a dangerous 22-hour crossing overnight. We can see, however, that today some French police have been attempting to stop migrants trying to board a taxi boat in Burke in northern France, with migrant vessels setting off further along the coastline to escape French authorities. Well, I'm delighted now to be joined by Azir Yousef, the Reform UK Home Affairs spokesman, who joins me. Azir Yousef, thank you for waiting patiently there.
Yeah, you know this is like a pretty far right-wing channel, GBN, right?
What are your thoughts on the brazen handing out of life jackets mid-channel by the French authorities?
Well, it is remarkable that we are now seeing footage of the French authorities, literally handing life jackets to illegal migrants, thus encouraging them to make the journey. And I think there's now journeys of up to 22 hours being made in order to come to Britain illegally. Remember, these are people not coming from Syria or from Gaza. They're coming from France, which last I checked was not a war zone. If it is, then somebody should tell the millions of British people that go there on holiday every summer. And this is what should really make you angry, right? The idea that the French are not going to craftily and sneakily try and offload these people onto Britain. I mean, of course, that's what would be in their national interest, wouldn't it? Otherwise, they'd be staying in France and costing the French taxpayer money. The people to direct your anger toward is our witless and treacherous political leaders who, remember, have paid the Tory and Labour governments, have paid the French government 700 million quid of your money, your taxpayers' money, to the French government, ostensibly to stop the boats from coming. And not only are they not stopping the boats, they're coming in near record numbers and have been since that deal was struck and all that money keeps getting paid. They are literally encouraging them to make this journey. And this is not news. I mean, do you remember those photos of French border control literally taking photos on their phones as they saw off illegal boats to come to Britain across the channel? So look, it's about time we had a proper government in this country that's going to stand up for our interests. And what Reform would do is immediately stop those payments and put in a demand to the French government for a full refund, given they basically made fraudulent misrepresentations and obtained that money through essentially fraudulent means. But again, the frustration and anger you should direct.
I guess this is their Dinesh D'Souza,
firstly the Tory,
the South Asian presenter who can shit on his own people.
Every week, these strange white crates leave a high-security Tesla compound
Yeah,
in Lathrop.
Ken, this is the guy that used to run this channel. Compared them to Kim, to being run by.
Wait a second. It's almost over.
Kim Jong Un. So it's basically a far right channel.
Wait a second.
Far
Wait a
right.
second. I imagine you disagree with this,
Yeah.
but the vote was 400 to 200,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So it
And there are
isn't
a lot
just
of-
some kind of.
Yeah.
It was a major change, including Denmark, Sweden,
Right.
Norway,
Well,
everybody.
that happens
And
when
Britain, not
one of the
Britain.
things that often happens when you have economic difficulties, like Europe's been deindustrialized for years now, especially after we blew up Nord Stream pipeline and cut them off from the cheap Russian gas. That was the only reason why they had a cheap they had cheap gas for their factories from Russia. So without that, again, they're buying expensive American LNG. They can't afford, that's why Volkswagen's talking about literally firing 100,000 people this week. I mean, which
In
is
Europe?
like, I don't know, huge. That's I don't know, maybe they have 400,000 total war. They're basically talking, and they're moving to
In
other
Europe,
countries.
they're going to fire them.
Basically, that's the end
Berlin?
of Volkswagen in Germany. They're not gonna
In
they're not gonna
Germany.
be producing many cars in Germany anymore because they can't. Again, they can't afford to because the price of energy is too high. Yeah. So yeah. So but this channel again here, yeah, the Reform guy Nigel Farage had a show on them, and that nutty conservative politician Rees Mogg also had, I guess, more recently had a show, and he's just far right and not, well, both of them are, but anyway, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. So it's not surprise me that they'll put out a video, against
Forget the video. Excuse me.
against immigrants, especially since, of course, the implication is, and what they always say again, they're the wrong skin color. The immigrants were, they cared less when they were, Polish or, at least good Europeans.
Okay,
They didn't object as
Alex, this isn't a video PR. This is the Parliament of the European Union voting
Yeah.
400 to 200 to stop the overflow of third world populations invading European countries. That's what it is. It's not a PR piece. It's a documentation of what happened. They passed legislation to stop the overflow from third world countries coming into Europe. And they arranged like they said, they'll just do it in more civilized manner than most people think we're doing it. Of keeping them in a place until they're this, and then they'll send them back. But if they have kids, they'll wait. I have that here. I have the here. I have here. This is what the rules are. So let me show you that. No, thank you. Okay, so here's the new rules. Let me try to share that. Okay, so let's go. And we're going to share that. And here's the rules. This is not a video. So we'll just look at the highlights of some of the part. What is it really? More secure external borders. More secure external borders. 7 days for external border checks. Three days for those apprehended within the territory. Mandatory border procedures. Fast and efficient procedures. Free legal counseling at all stages, including appeals, guidance and assistance, tailored support for vulnerable groups, wide reception standards. So they're, more civilized. It's more like an immigration policy. Effective system of solidarity and responsibility. Crisis protocols and actions against instrumentalism. Boy, that's a big word. Instrumentalization. Okay. A dedicated legal framework is now in place to address emergencies, ensuring that the EU and its member states can respond swiftly and effectively to crises, whether caused by sudden migratory surges, instrumentation of migrants by third countries, or forced major events. So anyhow, they were getting all, they're dealing with it. It's not just a PR thing. And the other part of it is that I saw is they said it's all countries, and you can't deport them to another European country. So you can't send them to Poland, or or Lithuania or Germany. You got to get them outside of the EU. And they're going to have to pay and so forth. But that's a major change, and I it's been precedented from other countries, which I don't think the East European countries in the EU, like Bulgaria, Poland is. I don't know about Bulgaria and some of those other countries. Are Hungary. Hungary is in the EU, isn't it? Alex, is Hungary in the EU? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those countries they've closed their doors about 2 years ago, so it's been a conversion where this what's been called not what's it when you have a compassion for strangers is called empathy, right? So it's called suicidal empathy. Oh, these poor people! Come on, that's bring them in. We got room in the house. There's some strays out there. Bring them over. Bring them over. All of them and their kids. Come on over. We got lots of money. So it hasn't worked out. They haven't assimilated fast enough and come into creating a greater wealth and prosperity that they could sustain the extra burden. So that's
always.
And I think that's basically what's been going on here. That's been going on here in the U.S. Hi, Tom. What's new with you?
Oh, I don't know. Not too much. No.
Well, you must have you got an opinion about what the hell is going on in Iran? With every once a week he bombs it, and then he steps out and he says, "Now we're going to make peace," and then he goes back and he bombs it again.
Well, that's what's going. That's what's going on, and of course it doesn't make good sense to me. But I don't know how he gets away with that bullshit. I really don't.
Yeah.
And some people I think like it.
Yeah.
You think he should go all the way and put boots on the ground?
Oh.
I think he should quit. I think we should fire him.
Yeah.
He's a draft dodger. He dodged the draft 5 times when he was younger. Now he's sending people off to get killed. I think we ought to get rid of him.
Well, what happens if you get rid of him?
And those numbnuts that he's got around him, those guys. One of them's military experience was Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Holy Christ, that's just
Oh,
the big
real?
POW
Right. Yeah.
camp,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, there's nothing there. I've been there. There's nothing there, you know?
Yeah. And Tom, I don't know if you heard, but I have read somewhere that this war is costing so much that they're taking money from the training budget to fund it.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'll bet the big guys are trying to figure out how they're going to pay for all this. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably we're going to start running out of missiles as soon as, the way we're throwing them away.
Hey, this would never happen if we'd have made John Wayne president.
Well, I don't know if that would have been better. I mean, we kind of did with Reagan, right?
Well, I heard Ronnie Reagan speak at Normandy. I was there in the audience, and
Oh,
I'll
yeah?
tell you, he was worth he was worth it. He gave a wonderful speech, and there were a lot of veterans there, and we all broke down and cried. We all broke down and cried, standing there point to Hawk. Well, Ronnie gave this speech, and he'd come off an aircraft carrier and flown in and come in for it, and he really went over well.
Wow. What year was that? 44? 43?
No,
No,
that was
it was 80,
no,
it
no.
was 80, 86, 85.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
No, this
He
was,
was,
for
Reagan
for
was
the
president.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah, it was-
he wasn't, yeah. Remember, Reagan never left. I don't think he ever left. Well, I think he mostly stayed in the country during World War II.
Well, he
And
made
certainly
he
didn't fight.
made films. He made war films, and
Yeah.
and he was probably too old to be drafted.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Let me see. No, he served in the Air Forces during World
Yeah.
War II, primarily
But
public
as-
relations and film
Yeah,
production.
exactly. Like John Wayne, who I guess they kind of some people joked with him afterwards about, that he never really served when he would, I guess with certain actors who did, when he would
Oh,
try
yeah,
to
yeah.
be like
Jimmy-
a big,
the most-
patriotic guy, and they're like, yeah, where was, what combat were you in, John, essentially.
I think the most notable is James Stewart,
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was a fighter.
Who flew?
Gunner.
Well, he was a squadron commander, I think. He was a major, no, lieutenant
He
colonel.
made lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, and he was still in the Air Force after the war for a while.
Oh yeah. I saw him in Vietnam. He made a tour of Vietnam.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. He was a good guy. He was one of the good guys. Jimmy Stewart. You better believe it.
No.
David Niven, all of them, a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Paul Newman, too. I think Paul Newman was a gunner.
Even Clark
It's a-
Gable,
it's a-
I think, went to
Right.
Europe for a little while. Even Clark
Yeah,
Gable.
Even Nixon was
definitely-
in the Pacific. I think he was in a supply unit, but he
Who?
never got into combat. But he was close to the
Who?
front. Richard Nixon.
Yeah, and Nixon was in the Navy, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he was probably riding one of those ships across the Pacific, delivering goods, and somebody's got to do it.
In the meantime, what seems to have fallen off the table is the thing with Cuba and Greenland. And they don't talk about that now in the media. I don't know why.
Wow.
No, they're
I
getting
thought
ready
it
to
was-
do something with the guy from Venezuela, though.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, he's going to be on. His show trial is going to go forward, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they have much evidence. But it's an American court, so who knows? If they're still going to fall for whatever BS argument the government comes up.
When I was at the station in Panama, I went to every country in South America more than once, except Venezuela. I never
okay.
went to Venezuela.
Uh-huh.
And the reason was they were rich. They didn't want anything from us,
Right.
and so we left them alone pretty much.
Yeah, but now And now we got stronger relationships with Venezuela because we.
Well, we've arrested the president, and he's still going on trial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about Cuba? Do you think? Well, this is the question. I won't tell anybody. Do you think Cuba would benefit if we moved in and put in a more stable government, got rid of
No.
the communists?
No, because we're gonna try and turn it into, when it was under Batista. That's actually why Rubio's family left the country, because they didn't want it to. They left in '59 because they didn't want to live under their dictator. So that's pretty much what he probably put in place if the government falls. Yeah,
Rubio
they want
left.
to turn it into another, like it was, a casino country for the mob and so on, I'm sure. And basically they want, all the people who had their, the rich Cubans who live here who had their property taken away, they probably want it back. So that's not gonna, that's gonna create huge problems and probably drive into another civil war, and then we'll have another socialist government who kicks them out again, and then repeat, rinse.
Okay, so you're saying that he left before the family left before.
Yeah, 50 before the revolution. They left like 58 or 50. No, he's been lying. Rubio's been lying for years that, his family. Yeah, it's people who know have, been pointing it out for a long time that he's lied about his own, history. Plus the fact that I think it's his brother-in-law was based when he was living with him was essentially like a major drug dealer in Miami, and supposedly, yeah, Marco didn't know anything, while the house he was living in was like having, having cocaine in it, or crack in and out and so on. But he didn't
Well,
know
but
about it. That's
Bacardi
why
Bacardi moved their operation.
one of his nicknames is Narco Rubio because of his, because
I was living in Puerto Rico when they moved Bacardi from Cuba to Puerto Rico. And that was one of the big things over the Castro Revolution. I mean, that was really significant, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And then they moved it to Puerto Rico, and it was the biggest liquor store I've ever seen in the world.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, but do you think it would be detrimental?
Yeah.
Cuba's doing fine.
Well, they're not doing
let's
fine
look
because we're blockading the country. We're not letting them get any oil. So yeah, it's not. But if we lifted the sanctions, they probably would do okay. But yeah, they've been under sanctions by us for more than 60 years.
Would that bother the Green Party and the people who are trying to stop the world from coming to an end because of the oil?
Yeah.
Well,
Cuba isn't, Cuba doesn't put out much CO2 because they don't have, it's a small country. They don't have much. They don't have much industry. They're not going to have a big impact, regardless of which way it goes. And they have.
They sure put a knot in our tail, when the Russians had moved in, and in the '60s, they really, did a job on us. And you can go I've been to Cuba several times, and the museums have got all that equipment that the Russians gave them, and everything in museums. And
they're entitled. Our military has invaded their country multiple. I think not quite as many times as they invaded Nicaragua in the pre-war, but I think obviously we had the Spanish-American War, and then we have I forget the name of it. We have the treaty we signed with them essentially gave us permission to invade them whenever we want. It's what it's something amendment.
There's so many Cubans in the United States anyway that it probably is not a big issue anymore.
Yeah, well, for some people it is. Yeah,
sure.
For the so-called Gusanos who are getting the right-wing Cubans, they're still obsessed with it. And again, our Secretary of State definitely is obsessed since he's Cuban.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom? Would it be better if we took over, or got rid of the communist
I think
regime?
at various times we have taken over. in Cuba. You know, at some periods of time we have,
Yeah.
and so I'm not sure. You know, if it'd be good if we ran it all the time or not. You know, I tend to think maybe we ought to let them go and see what they come up with. But anyway,
Oh, here, yeah. So,
you know, the Cubans I know, I've met a lot of Cubans joined the U.S. Army, and they were great guys. You know, I trusted them with my life, and you know, I trust them.
Okay.
well, it wasn't good for some people because, again, their dictator Batista, who we, of course, supported again, is accused of having killed up to 20,000, Cubans while he was in charge. So, murder, disappearing them, murdering them, and so on.
Well, a lot came to the United States.
Yeah. Again, like the Rubio family, who, left because of him, not because of Castro. Even though Rubio lies about, that, oh, yeah. But again,
Okay, so
yes, we know when they left, which was before the revolution. So,
okay, now everybody here is in New York. You're in New York, right, Tom?
no, Tom.
Maybe you're not.
Tom's
No,
not
I'm in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh,
He's out west. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, you're out west. It's early.
I'm,
for you,
it's a little community called American Lake.
wow.
Sits right on the bay. Sits right on Puget Sound. Yeah.
Is it all?
And I look across the bay, and there's a prison island there. Yeah.
So, what your community is mostly retired people or
Yeah.
agricultural?
Yeah, retired military because Fort Lewis is here. And there's there's an Air Force base here. And there's a Navy base up in Seattle and all that.
And you got like 4 seasons. You got cold winters and hot summers.
Well,
Yeah.
not so much the cold because if you want that, you go up in the mountains and go skiing. You see, you can get the climate you want. You can go to the desert. You can get a desert climate. You can ski up in the mountains in the winter. You can go to the beach in the summer. You know, you can work it all in. Yeah.
That sounds good. What's the name of it? What's the name of the
Lakewood.
town?
Well, I live in Steilacoom, which is the oldest city in the state, but it's part of the community of Lakewood.
Oh,
That's
Lakewood.
Lakewood. That's a big community outside of the Army Air Force Base.
Oh. Well, well, you could go in there if you've never been in the military, can't you?
Oh, sure.
It's not owned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You come out and see me, I'll get you in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get you in.
I like
Yeah.
You ever travel up that far north?
Yeah. Yep.
You did.
I mean,
Okay.
I was in Vancouver recently, but we went. I don't know, backwards sort of. I think we went to North Dakota first, and to get to the I keep forgetting the name of it. Great something, gorgeous park. And then we took a train and came back over and went to Washington and Seattle and everything there. Yeah, and then another time we went on this Alaskan cruise. A lot of people have been on that. Goes up
Yeah.
an inland path. You know, there's islands, and the boat goes up. It's nice. It's okay. It's nice. Vancouver's okay.
Well, it's interesting, and you probably know this, but the two Aleutian Islands that are the furthest out on the Aleutian chain, you can visualize the Aleutian Islands.
Yeah.
The Japanese occupied them. The Japanese,
Right, yeah.
that's the only our territory that they occupied.
Yeah. Well,
Attu and Kiska.
if you don't count Guam and Wake, Tom.
Tom,
Well,
just say
wait,
the name of that. What was the name of that neighborhood? Lakewell? The Lakewell. right? The
Lakewood, probably. Lakewood.
Oh, Lakewood.
Lakewood, yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's a
No.
Lakewood, there's also a Lakewood, Colorado, but Lakewood, Washington. Oh, look at that. Wow. There you are in heaven. It's very similar to Lake Tahoe, isn't it?
Where?
Tom, did you ever go to Lake Tahoe?
I've been there, but I haven't spent any time there. No.
Yeah, that's one of the most popular lakes in the country. Welcome to the city of Lakewood. City of Lakewood. There you go. Oh my gosh, you're right out in the water, Puget Sound.
Yeah, yeah, we're right there. Yeah, yeah,
The way like out there off the almost off the continent. Oh, you're just north of Portland.
yeah.
Looks good. That's very good. Okay. So there was, well, oh yeah. So the reason I was asking was Alex and I are in New York. A lot of people are in New York. I found some interesting information about it that I want to show you guys, and might as well go for that because we're not really don't have anybody to hit on heavily this week. So I'll go to this. Let's see where it is. There it is. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this up and we'll scan through it. I was talking about this with Alex briefly before, but I'd like to see what Tom's viewpoint on it is too. And there we go. And this is just, there it is. Immigrants transform New York City as nearly 40% of residents are born abroad,
Well, yeah, something,
surpassing
right?
the national average. You can see it, right? Can you
Yeah,
see that?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, surpasses the national average. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
Average daily cost to house an undocumented immigrant is $370 daily. Daily. Overshadowing the 207 spent daily on individuals experiencing homelessness. So immigrants are 370 and homeless are 207. How do you stay alive with that on your burden, even as the city winds down its current response by
Well,
closing numerous shops?
wasn't always that expensive, you know.
Yeah,
Because when I went to West Point, we used to go down to New York City all the time, and we could afford to go to New York City. You know, and
yeah.
there was a guy that ran the Piccadilly Hotel across the street from the Astor, and he'd let you sleep on the pool tables if you wanted to,
Oh,
so you didn't have to sleep in the gutter.
oh, yeah. Now, I don't know where. I don't know. You know, the traveling around the city and the different boroughs in New Jersey, I haven't really seen any homeless encampments. Not at all like we have in Los Angeles.
No,
In
it's
Los
not. Yeah,
Angeles, they run camp, tents
yeah, they
for
don't. No, it's not like
miles.
that. I mean, you see, individuals here and there, sleeping on
Right.
rates and so on, or yeah, obviously on the subway.
Yeah, it's not doesn't seem to be a major problem here. I don't know why.
Well,
Maybe that's because they're housing them. Wait a second. What does it say there? 4 in 10 residences are from outside the U.S., and a clear majority, 60%, are either
yeah,
immigrants or their children.
yeah, that
60%
that includes
immigrants or
me.
their children.
Both my
Yeah,
parents
that includes
are
you.
immigrants,
That's right.
and I
Yeah,
think
well, New York
Yeah.
City was a fun place to go, you know.
Jim's
Yeah.
grandparents came here, on his mom's side, so he's
Yeah.
not the son but the grandson of immigrants.
Well, my grandparents came from Russia and
Yeah,
Europe, but the parents were born here. They weren't immigrants, I think. I mean, all my aunts and uncles. I don't think they were born
Ken, were
Russian.
your parents born in the city or they were born else?
No, I think they're born somewhere in Brooklyn or Queens or something. They're not born in another city. They're New Yorkers. They have a New York accent, New York life. My father went to Brooklyn Tech and then Pratt.
Oh, really? Okay, nice.
And the most interesting thing that happened with him, or one of the most interesting things, was they were having fights amongst the juniors and the seniors in Pratt. So what they decided to do is they rented Dodger Stadium, I think it was,
Wow.
and they put like 20 empty barrels at one goal post and 20 empty barrels at another goal post, and in the middle of the field, they had discs, like, substantial discs.
What, like frisbees?
Sort of like, yeah, no. More like a 5 pound
Oh,
weight that you would put on a barbell or something like
okay.
that. And they put about 200 of them in the middle of the field. And they said the point of this competition is to get more discs in your barrels. And there's one other rule: there are no other rules. So they said, start. So they just had an enormous, barrel,
Brawl.
like rugby, they're beating each other up and everything. And there was a photograph, and my father was holding on to like the last disc with guys on each side. Then they took a picture. It was a method of handling disputes. Okay, we'll settle it out on the field. That was Pratt. And you go to Pratt now, Pratt's pretty tame. I
Well,
think.
New York City was, right downtown, and New York City was kind of an exciting place to go. And
Oh,
Jack
it is
Dempsey,
now.
what?
It is
Jack
now.
Dempsey
It is
had a
now.
restaurant there, and
Yeah,
if he was
sure.
in the restaurant and you went in with your cadet uniform, he would sign your autograph.
How?
Dempsey would, yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
mean
what
from
do you
West
think
Point,
about it?
Tom, right?
Excuse me.
You mean if you're from West Point, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was about 80 miles south of West Point. Yeah. So you go
that's
in there, and what you do is you go in there and you have your picture taken with Jack Dempsey and get an autograph, and and it was kind of exciting.
Yeah. Well, anytime there's a big event like this FIFA thing, we were walking around the city, and what was the last game? Friday, I think, or Saturday. I don't even remember. But we're walking, and there's a crowd right on Spring Street. 100 people on one side, 100 people on the other side. And I said, "What are you guys waiting for? Is there a parade coming?" He said, "No, look at that truck." And it was a truck which had a big screen on one side and a big screen on the other side, and these people standing in the street watching the soccer game. And then we saw this all over downtown, East Village,
Right, yeah.
West
And
Village.
speaking of West Point, I just finished this book. It's about, the Panic of 1837. And they mentioned that because of, the Great Depression back then in the 1840s, Halsey talked about, that because they needed the money, that they should, eliminate West Point. And they didn't want to build Annapolis. But that didn't work. Obviously, they didn't do that. But they were definitely talking about,
Geez, I
getting
haven't
rid of the
been to-
military academy because, it wasn't in keeping with Jackson's ideas about the country and the
Well, most of the land that the Academy has, they got from the Rockefellers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they gave it to them.
Yeah. Well,
Now, did you teach in West Point, Tom?
No, I was just a cadet.
Yeah.
I was just a
Oh, just a
student.
kid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When was the
But
last
one
time
of the
you were
one
up
of the
there?
interesting characters is our company tactical officer was General Patton's son,
okay.
and George Patton III, and what a character he was.
Yeah.
And he
Just
he
like
made
his son.
he tried to be like his father.
Right.
Yeah, and he succeeded. He was a horse's ass.
Tom,
George Patton.
When was
was Westmoreland your superintendent when you were there, or that was later?
Westmore? Yeah.
That was later. Yeah, that was later.
Was that the guy who was there during the invasion?
Yeah, he's
of
the
Iraq
commander in
and Syria?
Vietnam and chief of staff later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of complaining about the invasion of Iraq. I thought he wasn't supporting it. Isn't that true?
Oh,
I don't know if he was still alive at that point.
I don't know.
Sure. Okay. When was the last time you went to West Point, Alex?
Oh, years
been
ago,
there?
with my
Years.
parents took. I don't know. We visited
Do you
at some
remember-
point. The Civil War Forum that I sometimes go to, they have they do a tour every year. They set, but you have to spend money to do it. So I don't know if I'm gonna. But
Did
yeah,
you ever go up?
I've been there since college. I think I went during college. It's for
Do you remember? Do you remember seeing all the battleships in the Hudson parked?
um, I
You never
vaguely
saw
remember
that?
my visit. I remember some of the buildings, but yeah, I don't remember too much about it.
It was a couple of miles, at least 10, 20 miles of battleships, like double parked in the
Yeah,
Hudson
I had
after
more.
World War II.
I had more fun at Les Invalides in Paris, which is a museum these days, but they got a lot of fun stuff there. If you go up to
Yeah.
their top floor, they have all these. Oh, probably they have it at West Point too, Tom. Models of all the different fortresses around France from like the 18th century. All
What's the name of the
all
place?
the Vauban fortifications.
What was the name of the
That's
place?
just it's the military museum in Paris where the where
Okay.
Napoleon's buried and Foch and a bunch of other marshals.
Yeah, I've been to we stopped in a
Probably
military
been,
museum in Switzerland. I forget the name of the big city there. Just traveling through Switzerland. Sometimes you run into museums that nobody goes
you
into that
can
are
walk
very
where
interesting.
because Hitler went to visit him, so you can walk where he walked.
Oh,
He Hitler really liked, again, it's designed so that you basically have to look from the gallery down on Napoleon's tomb. So he thought that was a nice way to assert his power, because you got to look down on him from up there. And it's this giant forget porphyry, you know the actual body is like supposed, it's like, yeah, it's like 10 feet tall or something, it's huge.
this is going to be a radical
And as
thing
it's
to
gone for,
say, but
you've seen it's like in this rotunda. So
do you think after the baby boomers are gone, right? After the
yeah.
baby boomers are gone, there will be like a different attitude towards Adolf Hitler. They'll be more
Well,
tolerant.
a lot of people have forgotten. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, probably we won't. Well, all that stuff, World War II, people won't. How many people are going to care about that? Again, all the vets are pretty much gone. The
Yeah.
people whose parents were vets are almost going to be gone. So I don't know. They'll probably look at it like something like our Civil War, or something really in the distant past at a certain point. Yeah.
Or like Pol Pot, like kind of removed. It doesn't
Yeah,
impinge
yeah,
on them.
exactly. Something. Well,
Or like,
certain people, obviously, some people have European background or even Asian background, have a more direct connection to the fighting and so on. I mean,
oh, sure.
if you're, I mean, if you're Chinese, again, 20 million of them were killed by the Japanese during the war.
Yeah.
So, they probably, kind of like the Russians, they probably know, have relatives who were killed. So and if you're Japanese, a good chance you have, probably a grandparent, or a great
Well,
grandparent who fought and died in the war.
for some reason, we did a Nuremberg trial on the Germans, but the Japanese, they
Well,
just
no,
got a couple of
they had the
guys.
Tokyo War trials, and
Yeah, yeah, very
back Jim
narrow,
had, I
very.
think at some point Jim had, not Jim, Greg, who does the World War II. He had this guy just wrote a book of like last a year or two ago on the Tokyo trials. He did a very good academic look into it and the issues, and he came in and talked to us. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was much more lenient than Nuremberg.
Well, yeah. I mean, they prosecuted fewer people. They
Yeah.
obviously didn't have a genocide to make an issue.
Oh,
But
but they
no,
did have a genocide.
they executed, I don't know, was it 20 or so people? Tojo was hung and a bunch of other remember the case? Well, you wouldn't know, Ken, but Tom would know that
No.
the case with Yamashita, the Japanese general who was a command in the Philippines. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court decided that yeah, they could execute the guy, that he had violated their interpretation of the laws of war, because he was his lawyers were arguing, well, he Yamashita, yeah, people, a lot of our prisoners were killed, but they argue that Yamashita didn't know. But again, it's this the interpretation is, what they call command responsibility. That if you're the guy in charge and your subordinates, mur- in the military, murder people, then you're just as guilty as they are. So that they went all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court decided to, let them get executed, and that it was, it was a legal interpretation.
Well, one thing that's interesting is we interned all the Japanese, or most of the Japanese in this country. Sent them
Yeah,
out to
yeah, that too.
concentration camps.
Right, and in Canada they did the same, pretty much.
And then somebody in Hawaii said, "Well, we've got to round up all these Japanese in Hawaii and do
Right.
that." And then they came back and said, "Who do you think works on all those ships there?
Right, yeah.
Who maintains the U.S. Navy?
Right.
When the sailors are at sea and they come back and the things have." So they didn't do that. They didn't do that in the in the Hawaii, and the guy that pushed that became the first governor and first senator.
Well, I know if you've been around for this, Tom, we had arguments with some people think that there were, Japanese spies on the island, and we argue about, I mean, because I guess the FBI said afterwards they couldn't find any evidence of, except for, of course, the consulate. Obviously, was they were. We know that they went out and spied on the harbor and gave them intelligence that helped the attack. But the idea that there were Japanese Americans or Japanese residents that were spying for the Imperial Japan, I think is there's no evidence of that. So they weren't, there wasn't anything behind the idea that they were yet disloyal.
No.
According to the FBI, it was not exactly.
But after Pearl Harbor, there was this great. We got to do something,
Yeah.
And but they
Well, it's
didn't
also
do that.
good excuse to steal their businesses and property too. If somebody benefited. Although I think some people actually, who friends of the people who were interned, actually held on to some of their property and gave it back to them after the war, essentially. So some people were good to the internees, but it was all and of course I know what I think Reagan gave them a small amount of compensation to the $10,000 each or something to those who were left. I know whenever he did apologize for the country. I think some point in the 80s when that became a thing again.
Yeah, but wasn't there a minor attack on somewhere like Washington or Colorado or San Francisco?
Well,
Japanese submarine.
they sent some balloons over and one person killed. Not again they'll put incendiaries on these balloons and it'll start forest fires. But that didn't. The only thing is, one guy had a heart attack, so it killed literally one person in the U.S. from all of that. So, but yeah,
That's a
other than
War
that,
II.
outside of
Well, my father took a trainload of Japanese women and children from the West Coast to relocate them in Arkansas, and he took them, and he said they were the most well-behaved people he had ever seen. He was worried that I'm going to have all these women and all these kids, and I'm going to be responsible. He said it was the easiest train trip he ever took. They were absolutely no problem at all to anybody, and did exactly what they were told and did it well.
Yeah, their culture is very deferential to authority. So yeah,
Absolutely.
and of course they would have
So
been
what-
all first or second generation from Japan. So they still would have been inculcated into that culture. So yeah.
So they went to Arkansas.
Well, they used
Some
they
went
sent
to
them
Texas.
to the Midwest.
Some even went, I think, to got settled in Chicago eventually. I think.
Well, they settled them in a lot of places,
Yeah.
but basically in the West.
Yeah.
West and Midwest.
They tried to move them away from California, where they mostly were.
Why?
Well,
Well,
the fear
because of
was,
the
they
defense.
were going to be a fifth column because they really thought the Japanese were going to like land somewhere. Remember, again, there's that crazy movie with 1941 that Spielberg did that's based on some actual not really nutty stuff that happened around LA in the days after Pearl Harbor, where they really thought they were going to get an invasion really soon. And I think there were, there was maybe I think there at some point like a sub shelled somewhere on the California coast, and yeah,
Well, no, they fired a few rounds into the oil refinery in Santa Monica,
yeah,
and they came up the coast to where the Columbia River enters into the ocean, and fired 17 rounds because they plotted them all on a coastal defense site, and they didn't hit anything. 17 rounds, they plotted them all out, they didn't hit anything, and then the submarine went home.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, so there was something, but that was after they put the majority of the Japanese people in whatever in the.
But I think
desert.
that happened before the
Yeah, I think it happened.
yeah.
And
I
of
mean,
course,
plus, remember there's a whole big long literature about the Yellow Peril and propaganda. There's things like the Chinese Exclusion Act that happened before, where they is that we don't want more Chinese here, so we'll make it so no women can come here, so they can't have kids essentially, and even though of course we use a lot of Chinese people, build the transcontinental railroad and do a lot of other things, a lot of other infrastructure, and
Well, now they're building all the
Right.
A1 centers.
I mean, I think, probably. Well, not. I know about in L.A. But I think,
No.
The Chinatown in San Francisco goes back to well back in the 19th century.
That was another thing I looked up in New York, in the three schools, Brooklyn Tech, Stuyvesant, and Bronx Science. The current admissions are 3/4 Asian.
Asian, yeah.
3/4.
Yeah. Well, no, they have a big emphasis on education. So yeah,
Well, they're trying to get around it because
yeah,
it's like because the Asian lifestyle is you come home from high school, not public school or whatever, sit down and take these courses. They take special training to get the high scores.
yeah.
And they do have a much more disciplined life, but it's 3/4 of the it's kind of like what's going on here. It's the same thing down north in L.A. I forget there's kind of like derogatory names they have for UCLA. I forget what it is.
Really?
Yeah. A
Okay.
joke named because it's 50% Asian. It isn't all Chinese. It's Chinese, Asian, and Korean. Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans. But it's a something. You got to deal with it because those civilizations, those tribalists, they don't fully integrate. They're not fully integrated with us. They still maintain very, cohesive communities.
well, I can remember as a little kid, we lived on the Presidio of San Francisco in San Francisco Bay,
Right.
Yeah.
and we had German POWs mow the lawn.
Huh.
They did those kinds of jobs, and I just remember that because I thought it was kind of strange, although I wasn't very old. But
Yeah, I know.
and I don't think we ever had any trouble with German POWs. I got to know one when I was in Germany. I spent some time talking to him, and he had been sent to Canada as a POW and to work on a farm. And if he was good, he got Wednesday afternoon and Saturday afternoon off,
Right.
and he could go to town. I mean, where the hell is he gonna from Winnipeg, Canada? Where the hell is he gonna go?
Yeah. Where are they going to escape to?
And he thought it was wonderful.
Sure. It's a better life than if it was a retired soldier.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
by far.
The Calandra Institute here in the city that does a lot of stuff for Italian Americans. They had a whole conference that Jim and I went to. Was it like last year about Italian prisoners in in the
How did
U.S.,
they?
but also they also talked about Italian prisoners that in Australia and New Zealand and yeah, and in South Africa, I guess they sent a bunch because they a lot of them were from North Africa, so they wound up in actually in South Africa as prisoners there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was those. These are actually it was rather prosperous here after World War II,
Yeah,
with all of everything worked out
well, it's the same way again. A bunch. You read your history,
friendlier,
a bunch of
friendlier.
German, the Hessians that came over here to fight wound up, liking the U.S. and deciding to, stay here after, the war was over in the, our war for independence. So that's some of the, all those Germans that are like out in the Midwest
Oh,
came from, yeah.
from
Yeah, we had some German prisoners here at Fort Lewis, and some of them died. And you can go out in the cemetery and
Oh, wow. Yeah.
look at the tombstones and figure out about who they were based on
Right.
their name. Yeah,
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 sure.
That's like military respect,
Right.
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think we had too many during World War One. They probably all stayed in France. But yeah, World War Two, we because they knew, you ship them over here. They're none of those guys are gonna escape her. So it's easier to ship them here than to leave them in,
Well, not many of them did escape, quite
no,
frankly.
yeah,
No, because they liked it over here, and if they
yeah,
were going to escape, they were going to have to somehow get to Mexico and down into
right,
South
yeah,
America and come back, and it just wasn't worth it.
no, yeah.
Right.
I've talked
So
to some of
anyhow,
those guys.
so is there anything else, any other topics you guys want to bring up? 'Cause, I think we could call it a
Yeah.
lightweight. I mean,
You
a
can
light
call
meeting.
you can call your son. He's
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's living in LA, Ken.
yeah. He's taking care of things. Yeah.
Oh,
So
he's at your house over there. Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So
are you gonna come to the diner tomorrow? You
I
think?
think so.
Okay,
Well, the only
I'll bring a book.
opposition.
Yeah, I'll bring a
Bring
book
what?
for you.
Oh, come on.
No,
You
no,
don't
it's
need
not.
to
It's
bring a
it's
book.
because I have the updated edition to it, so I can get rid of this. It's on. You'll like it. It's on computerized voting and election integrity.
Oh,
You're
okay.
into that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
I'll be
Jonathan Simon's
interested.
book, Code Red. That's he's got
I'll
some good
be
stuff.
I'll
Yeah,
be very. I
you're
spent
already,
about 3 years working on that with a group
yeah,
in
yeah.
California.
Right. So
You
he's
know.
one of those guys, like, yeah, who really got into, trying to see if they stole any. He thinks they did steal some elections.
Well, honestly, it's sort of like it's advertised on the media
Yeah.
about every 3 months. They say 5 million addresses and social security numbers have been stolen from Bank of
Right. Yeah.
America. They keep doing that. So if people can do that, when somebody puts a vote and it goes into the machine, it's over. The game's over.
Yeah.
You got
Well,
nothing you can do to protect it.
yeah, of course, they don't want to admit it because then,
Yeah,
then people are just going to question the elections. And I mean,
right,
you could make them secure, which is to have everything hand counted like they still do in most other countries. They don't,
that's right.
they don't, they don't, you still have to check the vote. And yeah,
Right.
and yeah,
That's really
and
what should happen.
it takes a little longer, and you need enough, but it's not that hard to do. Every other country in the civilized world does it that way. And they don't let in France or Britain, they don't let, just the computers that, anybody can hack you check
Yeah,
and they
it's
don't
not
have
only
these
that.
problems.
The other problem
People
is,
trust at least trust their voting, because
what you
they know it's
remember
all
the
checked.
last, yeah, but the last time you voted, you got this big long thing that they
Yeah,
mail
yeah.
it to you. You would have got 2 weeks to start studying this stuff and figure it out,
Oh,
and
wow.
all the judges and everything. No,
Yeah.
you basically
Well,
you get a postcard in the mail from your favorite
yeah,
party, and they
most
tell you
people
what to
just,
do.
they vote Democrat or Republican or whatever anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other issues, bonds and stuff,
Yeah.
really had empathy for. I went to this one guy in I forget the name of it's a suburb of Los Angeles where they're doing all the voting control for the county, and he says there's 9 languages we have to print this in. 9
Oh, sure. Yeah.
languages.
Yeah.
And,
Well, no, you have
and
to. I
here's,
mean,
now here's the other part of it. If there's a bill that has to do with energy, it's going to be in this sector. And then if there's another bill about zoning, it's going to be another sector. So they have to create various kind of pamphlets and voting
Right.
tickets based on where you live.
yeah.
And it'd be like a variety of maybe 200
Right.
different collections.
And you
So
guys have, you know,
Right.
statewide referendums all the time, right? Every year.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
different
So it's
things,
very
yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, whatever the hell happens, then you got to have somebody who implements it. You pass a law. Does anybody going to do anything with it? Maybe, maybe not. You know,
Wow.
we're supposed to have a bullet train system.
Oh,
You know,
well,
they spend a couple of
yeah,
billion
you
dollars
know,
and get nowhere.
you
So,
better
you
off
know,
hiring the Chinese to build you one.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
they know how to do
that's
it
right.
because they've been doing
know how
it
to-
for 40,
Amazing
50
things.
years now.
Amazing things they do. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to talk.
All
we're
right,
gonna
Ken. Yeah. So
wrap
I'll see you.
off.
I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, I think so. Oh, that's what I.
All right.
yeah,
And thanks,
I'll
Tom,
be
for
there.
coming on. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
It's a pleasure to see you guys.
I'm going to knock on your door. We'll come up there and knock on your door
Oh.
Yeah.
and go ride go jet ski on that lake. You know.
Yeah.